Then I'm going to call the Stayton City Council meeting to order. Can you please join me in the flag salute? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for the record, all of the council members are present tonight. Is there any additions to the agenda? Any declaration of ex-party contact, conflict of interest, bias, etc.? Don't hear any. That moves us to public comment. And we have quite a few folks that are signed up for public comment tonight. I believe there's 6 requests. So before we get started with those, I'm going to read the disclaimer. The public comment opening statement. The council will now receive public comment. We value your input and ask that remarks be shared respectfully. The council's role is to listen at this time and may direct staff to follow up as needed. Speakers will be called one at a time and asked to state their name and city of residence before their 3 minutes of comment. And I try to hold that. I know I haven't been very diligent about it, but that keeps us on task with the meeting. So with that, we'll start with Penny. Penny, would you want to come on up, sit in a chair there and hit the button? There you go. Looks like it's already on, or cool. Go ahead.
My name is Penny, and I live in Stayton. I'm here to speak on the noise complaint regarding the resident riding off-road dirt bikes in the city limits and getting the ordinance changed. I wanted to let you know that this has been going on since before March, so over 4 months. And I wanted to make sure you realize that there is nowhere in my house or property that we can escape his noise. I hear it in my office when I'm trying to work, in my bedroom when I'm trying to sleep, in my living room when I'm trying to watch TV or read, in my kitchen, basement, bathroom. The only way we can escape his constant, unnecessary noise is to leave our house. My husband is disabled from chronic migraines, and the motorcycle noise that we can't escape makes his pain unbearable, and we have to leave our home when he has a migraine if my neighbor is riding his bike, his motorcycle, which is why we are here begging for some action. Just think, what would you do if he was riding next to your house for every day, almost every day, for hours on end? It is not reasonable for all of his neighbors to be held hostage. Now, I have a log of the hours and the days of the riding, but my husband asked me to spare y'all from me reading that off. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Penny. Paul Hartman.
Good evening. My name is Paul Hartman. I live in Stayton. Here to submit a formal complaint regarding the ongoing and repeated noise disturbance caused by a neighboring resident who regularly operates a loud motorcycle. Stayton Police has stated that there is nothing they can do because he's on his private property, and that when he went before a judge, he was within his rights. I would like to think if he was inconvenienced of having to go to court every time his motorcycle was started up, maybe he would change his mind. I'd also like to remind the officers that others have rights on their property also. I'd like them to enforce Chapter 8.04 of the Municipal Code, where it states that a nuisance is any loud, disturbing, or unnecessary noise that disturbs others. As you can see, that my neighbors have already complained about this nuisance in a previous council meeting and this one tonight. The issue has become a consistent disruption that interferes with my ability to reasonably use and enjoy my property. The disturbance involves a motorcycle with excessive exhaust noise, frequent engine revving, and occurs on a regular basis, often multiple times per day. It is especially noticeable during evenings and weekends. The noise is clearly audible inside my home and disrupts my normal daily activities such as sleep, conversation, and the general quiet enjoyment of my property. I respectfully ask that the City of Stayton enforce applicable Oregon law under its public peace provision. Under Oregon law, it is unlawful to operate a motor vehicle in a manner that produces more noise than is reasonably necessary. In addition, state regulation requires vehicles to have properly functioning mufflers and prohibit modified exhaust systems that amplify sound beyond acceptable levels. The city should be able to enforce one of the above laws or ordinances. The situation has a direct negative impact on my quality of life, including disrupted sleep, loss of quiet enjoyment of my home, increased daily stress due to repeated disturbances. Because of this activity is ongoing, frequent, and predictable, it cannot be considered isolated or occasional. It is a persistent issue that requires attention and enforcement. Thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Paul. Stephanie?
My name is Stephanie Hartman. I live in Stayton. I have lived at this address since 1998. It has always been a very quiet neighborhood. As of late, the new neighbors that live behind us have been relentless driving their motorcycle and four-wheeler up and down the driveway, day after day, hour after hour. I have called in a noise complaint twice now, and I know my neighbors have called as well. We have all been told that the neighbor was cited, went to court, and the judge ruled in his favor that he wasn't breaking any laws. However, I disagree. We can't even sit on our porch and have a conversation. We can't sit in our house with the doors and windows closed without hearing the loud engine revving over and over several hours at a time. The neighbor even yelled at me from his side of the fence, asking me if I was the one who called the police on him, which at that point I had not. But he did comment he didn't care who called him in, that it was his private property and he would do what he wanted to do. I am here asking for your help in enforcing the noise ordinance or changing it to make it enforceable. Please help turn my neighborhood back into the nice, quiet neighborhood it once was.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, could I have a location?
North Fern? 680. Oh, his location?
Well, where,
It's, go ahead, Stephanie.
680
His front yard is my backyard. Does that make better sense?
680 Ida?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Larry. Saw Larry there. There he is.
I'm just going to repeat. At the April 6th council meeting, I shared our neighbors' frustration with the ongoing noise coming from the neighbor's property. We've been putting up with this for almost 3.5 months, early March. I've named him Mr. Nose. Mr. Nose continues to operate and race motorcycles and ATVs on his property within the city limits. This activity has generated many neighborhood calls to the city police department. Mr. Noise was eventually cited, but the citation was dismissed because of the ordinance wording. Since the dismissal, Mr. Noise has triumphantly stepped up his noise attack on the neighbors, as if to say, in your face. The noise ordinance needs work and especially enforcement. Loud and unnecessary noise is a nuisance and disturbing at any hour of the day, not just between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. I don't believe anyone would miss the 10 to 7 stipulation if it were removed. I don't know if this would cause other problems, but the ordinance would then be in place at all hours of the day. The judge dismissed the citation because the noise occurred outside of these hours, prohibiting the operation, running, and racing of motorcycles, ATVs, recreational vehicles of any kind on private property within the city limits would also ensure enforcement. We've been a pest to the city staff, and we thank you for your patience. Mayor Quigley actually took the time to visit the crime scene, which is my backyard, times that I'm sure he couldn't spare. our entire neighborhood appreciated that. We understand that Councilor Sims and City Manager Julia are working on the ordinance. If that's true, we thank you for that. But a long summer's ahead, and we're asking again for the council's help, and as soon as possible, if possible, or a temporary fix. Mr. Noyes is having a jolly good time at our expense. He has no regard for his neighbors. The police department has talked to him. We have talked to him. There's been no change. We'll continue to call and complain when necessary, even though we know the ordinance is unenforceable. I suppose we're doing that only just to put it on record and to let you know that we're still hurting. Anyway, it's a big problem for a lot of people. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. Casey?
Casey Falconer. I live here in Stayton. I was reached out to by a relative that lives on Deer Lane. They've had some issues over there with some electric scooters riding in and out of the street onto the sidewalk. They're also going onto the school property through the Bart Dust path and out into the wooded area. That's bad enough, but I came to you a few weeks back or a month ago about another issue that a neighbor of mine reached out, and they told me some information that my relative is telling me, the exact same information. That when the police are called, the police are saying, not much we can do unless we catch them in the act. I think that's a very poor attitude. My relative invited them over, said they're out there in the street right now. Of course, we don't know if the police is busy with other stuff, but he gave his name and number and was never followed up. Again, I don't know the dynamic of if council has any authority to ask police to look into that more. But again, I think the answer of we can't do anything unless we catch them in the act is wrong. They were given the person's address. To my relative's knowledge, nothing was done. And it continues to happen. It's a safety issue, kids getting hit, so forth. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead,
can I just
Councilor.
ask a
Go
clarifying
ahead.
question? Are they riding on his property or they're riding in the street?
In and out of the sidewalk, from the sidewalk through multiple people's houses onto their driveway, not onto their driveway, but from the street onto the sidewalk, back out multiple times.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Farrington, I saw you somewhere. There you are.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name's Dan Farrington. I live in Sublimity, and I'm the Republican nominee now for state rep in House District 17. And I just wanted to introduce myself again, and that we're campaigning all summer long. And if you want to reach out and meet with me for coffee or breakfast or lunch, you're welcome to do that. And if you need my contact information, I think most of you have that already. And just want to reintroduce myself, and thanks for having me.
Great, thank you. All right, Council, I typically don't do this, but the people that spoke tonight have a serious problem in that neighborhood. And I've watched videos of it. I've gone out to see it myself. The gentleman is not being neighborly in the least bit. And so I would like to come up with a solution for this today.
So, Mr. Mayor, I actually was going to speak to this under communications from city staff and mention that we've received a number of complaints. Obviously, you received more this evening. The issue is that the noise ordinance exempts noises between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. There is an exemption for amplified noise during daytime hours, but there's no exception for repeated noise over multiple days or hours. And so I would like to if I can get direction from council to initiate a code amendment that would help address this, I would welcome that.
Sure. So, Julia, are you asking for council to add it as an agenda item?
Well, you won't be able to actually amend the code.
No, I mean asking you to add it as an agenda item to give direction to you.
Yes.
Change.
No, if you give me direction, I will come back with some proposed
Okay.
proposed noise ordinance amendments. I need to coordinate with PD and make sure that it's something that they believe is enforceable, but we'll bring something back to
Go
council.
ahead.
I'm just asking if we should add it to the agenda because we're kind of out of order, and then how do we discuss it? So,
Yes, you could do that.
Okay.
Generally, if I get a direction from a majority of counselors, that's direction for me to move forward. So it doesn't have to be a formal motion, but if that's what you want to do, you can.
I don't care how we get it done. I just want it to be addressed. So, how would council want to do this? Consensus here, just giving Julia the nod? There you go.
what are we talking about though?
What I am seeking is basically direction to initiate code amendments to address the complaints that we've received.
But
So amending the
what is
noise
that-
ordinance.
What does that look like though? We haven't addressed what. I mean, I know what the complaints are, but what does it look like? What does the ordinance look like if we're asking her to draft an ordinance?
So, the current code, the way it's written, doesn't allow enforcement of this current situation. So, we're asking
Yes.
for
but
staff
what do
to
we want? What do we want it to look like?
draw up
Are
an
we
ordinance that
asking for noise issues? Are we asking for dirt bikes specifically? Are we?
we're asking for so great questions. We're asking for in this specific incident an encompassing code that covers this entire operation, whether that be noise ordinance hours changed, whether that be motorcycles can't be operated in the city limits, whatever it may be, just something to address the situation because it is really, really out of hand.
Okay, I totally get that, but I'm saying we should talk about it and figure out what is it that, because what if she comes to us and it's not what you're thinking? Does that make sense?
Okay, so I'll add it to the agenda then.
Okay.
We'll move on. So there is one more, and so I would like to comment on the motorcycle thing as well, since it's kind of pertinent. I know what Mr. Falconer's talking about. I watched those kids ride those dirt bikes in Wilderness Park. I'm sorry, Riverfront Park. They went across the bridge, they come up, they're tearing it all through. So maybe we need to add that as part of the overall code. So I missed one public comment. I'm going to add this to the agenda while we're doing this real quick. I'll add it to, we'll add it to, general business. We'll add it after the two resolutions. So I'm going to have it letter D, and we'll add it to that. Okay? That work? Can you look that, while you're doing that, can someone look the code up so we can actually read it for us, the current one? All right. Mark?
Good evening and good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Mark Cronquist. I live at 308 East Water Street in Stayton, and thank you to our police department for quickly getting rid of yet another car camper just now. I live next to Water Control, Santiam Water Control District. My friend and neighbor Brent of Santiam Water Control mentioned that Barry, and I've learned apparently others are no longer with the city. I appreciated Barry's knowledge and how he was always willing to wade in and get stuff done and done well. I appreciated his depth of knowledge on the Detroit Dam drawdown issue and the possible implications for state and other cities. I'm concerned, was Barry fired? And if so, why? He seemed like a great guy and a great resource, and it seems like a bad time to lose that resource. It's just a question. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All right. That moves us on to, is there anybody else with public comment that didn't turn into form? Doesn't look like it. Moves it to consent agenda. Consent agenda for May 26th. City Council work session minutes. June 1st, City Council regular session minutes. June 8th, City Council work session minutes. And finally, Resolution 26-015 collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME Local 3222. What would Council like to do?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Sims?
make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Seconding.
Okay, motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as submitted. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. There is no presentations tonight. That leads us to a public ordinance, a public hearing on ordinance number 26-005, comprehensive plan, map, and zone map amendments for 579 East Washington Street. This is the time and the place set for the City Council's public hearing in the matter of land use file number 7-04/26, an application for a comprehensive plan map amendment from residential to downtown and a zoning map amendment from low density residential to downtown residential mixed use for property located at 579 East Washington Street. This hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement be made to those in attendance that covers certain matters relative to this case. That statement, with all the information required to be presented under ORS 197.763 parentheses 5, is printed and available at the table at the back of the room. If you have not yet received one of these forms, you should go get one and review it prior to presenting your testimony. If anyone has any questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it not being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes to your turn to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for this evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called on to speak during the public hearing, and the city's rules of procedure for land use public hearings to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You are encouraged to obtain and read a copy of these documents as well. At this time, I would ask the audience if there are any objections to the notice that was provided in this case. I hear none. To the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. I hear none. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest, ex parte, contact, or bias by any members of the council?
Mr. Mayor.
Council Ort.
I want to declare just some ex parte contact. I was in conversation with Charlene Vogel regarding this matter and issues with us being able to move it forward, the time that it took for this to even get to us. So.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Sim.
I also have to declare, I talked to Charlene Vogel also at a winery recently, but it'll have no impact on my decision.
Okay. Thank you for the declarations for both of you.
Mr. Mayor, I also did talk with her downtown.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the declaration from all three of you. We are now ready for the staff introduction. Jennifer.
Thank you. Yes, this is land use file 7-0426. It's a request by Charlene Vogel for the Santiam Ballet to amend the comprehensive plan and official zoning map from a property located at 579 East Washington Street. I'm just going to introduce it, and I think Charlene is here. If she wants to give a little bit of an applicant presentation for, if you're ready. Mm-hmm.
That's red now. Good. Okay. To reiterate, what we're trying to do is move our dance school to the church that has been vacant for, I think, about 5 years now. It would allow us a lot more room to accommodate parents being able to watch and participate in what the kids are doing. And we are also hoping to start an aftercare program for the little ones to kind of bridge that gap and fill in some of the need that we see our community has, which it's a block and a half from 2 schools, and walking distance would be, I think, a really good location for that. So the basement rooms would kind of be the aftercare part of that while we have dance classes going, and kind of keep it a movement and art-based aftercare program.
Okay.
I can continue on with the staff report.
Sure.
So let's see. As Charlene mentioned, it is a existing church building that has been vacant. The interesting thing is it's a non-conforming use in low density, and it actually changing it to the DRMU, the downtown residential mixed use, will make it conform. The future home of the Santiam Ballet proposed use would be performing arts, spectator sports and amusement and recreation facilities. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on May 26 and unanimously recommended to approve both applications, and the staff confers with this recommendation. The subject property is approximately 0.42 acres and is located on the corner of East Washington and North 5th Avenue. The properties to the north, east, and west are predominantly single-family residents, while the properties south are already designated residential, downtown residential mixed use. There is a property on the north side of Washington, East Washington, that is the daycare center, and that's also that downtown residential mixed use as well. Notice of the application was provided to the surrounding property owners, agencies, utility providers, and Department of Land Conservation and Development. That's DLCD, and we did not receive any public written from the public comments in support or in opposition to the application. The staff found that the proposal was consistent with the comprehensive plan and statewide planning goals and the approval criteria for the comprehensive plan and the zoning map amendment. Staff found that the property is served by existing facilities and utilities, and the proposal would materially not affect the city's residential land supply. The downtown residential mixed-use zone also allows for residential use. So based on these findings contained in the ordinance and the Planning Commission's recommendations, staff recommends approval of the draft ordinance 26-005. And that concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions from council?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Sims?
Charlene, how many students do you currently have?
I currently have about 200 going into the summer. It grows a little bit going into Nutcracker season, but right now we're holding strong. So I think my total enrollment is about 207 right now.
Great, thanks.
Anybody else? Councilor Patty, looks like you have a question.
Yeah. Thank you for coming before us with this application. I just was kind of curious, how do you feel about the roads over there in that area?
I believe it's 5th Street isn't like super great. It's kind of has a lot of
I agree.
holes in it, so it's not great, but it is. I find it better than the parking situation downtown with what we're dealing with right now. So if I have to pick that over the other.
Anybody else? Looks like Councilor Ort. Go ahead.
I do have a question. What is the expectation of like how long this process should take when someone wants to do a zone change?
It does take a while. Let's see. So the normal process is I get the application and I have a 30-day window to say that it's complete. And then there's a 120-day process to get the decision made. I think Charlene provided the application and I got it done within a few days, maybe 2, and deemed it complete. Then we scheduled the hearing, and that takes a little more length than you expect because the Planning Commission is only meeting once per month. So you have to have it complete at least 20 days before the planning commission meeting. So that's one thing. And then additionally, you need it 35 days for the state. So anytime you change the comprehensive plan or the zoning, you have to give the state 35 days before the meeting for them to provide any comments as well. So then it goes to planning commission first, it has to, and then they provide their recommendation, which they did the end of May. And then this is the next meeting for city council. I think that you have a meeting right the next Monday, and it doesn't really give me enough time to put it in your packet, so I scheduled it the next meeting, which is tonight. So it's a long process. There's a lot of notification, but I want to say that changing the comprehensive plan and the zoning, I am for this project. I think it's a great use. So but usually it's supposed to be a process because you're not supposed to make these decisions easily.
Do we have this? I'm sorry. Can I just ask a follow up? Do we have this in like writing? So if people come and they want to do something like this, do we have any information that says this is the expectation set forth about how approximately? Because I know things are flexible, but approximately how long things should take so that we can help people anticipate how long this process is going to take.
You know, what's required is to have a pre-application meeting with all the applications, and usually I'm at the meeting, so I try to tell them, but maybe it would be good to put that all in writing, because usually I tell them this is the process, how many days it takes, but.
And I think that would be good for us to have it in writing so that even at the pre-application meeting, or if we can't have one right away, that we have something that we can give people to set up those expectations.
Councilor Carey, go ahead.
Charlene, real quick on the after-school program, are you going to have students transported via bus to the program, and what's that look like?
We anticipate being able to walk them from just the parking lot to the block and a half, essentially, to the church.
Okay, anybody else? All right, applicant summary. Any closing remarks, Charlene?
I don't think I
Okay.
really think I have any.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
public testimony.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Another opportunity for public testimony on this particular hearing. Okay. And we just had an applicant summary, so staff summary.
I don't really have anything, just what I said in my report.
Okay. With that, we'll close the hearing and we'll have council deliberation and leading to a decision. Council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to follow up one thing on Councilor Ort's point.
Sure.
One thing that I've seen that's been really successful for folks, it's more like customer friendly, is like visualization, right? So like charts of, hey, this step's going to take about this many days. Hey, this step's going to take about this many days. If this doesn't happen, this happens. Maybe some kind of handout like that to the applicants during the applicant meeting would be good. Just a side note thought while you guys were talking. Timeline. Yes, exactly. Like Councilor Carey just said. And with that, I motion to approve the application and enact ordinance 26-005 as presented.
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second to accept ordinance number 26-005 as submitted. Is there any further discussion? Alyssa, can you pull the council on this one?
For sure. Counselor Hayes,
Yes.
Counselor Ort,
Yes.
Counselor Patty,
Yes.
Counselor Carey,
Yes.
Counselor Sims.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. The council's action may be appealed within 21 days of the mailing of the notice of decision of the Land Use Board of Appeals under ORS 197.805 to 855. Okay. That moves us on to general business and the second reading of ordinance number 26-004. Annexation and zone change at 11641 Shaft Road with amended medium density residential zone. Jennifer?
Yes, before you tonight is the ordinance 26-004 regarding the Butler annexation, approximately 17 acres located on 11641 Shaft Road. The applicants requested high-density residential. At the May 18th public hearing, the city council voted 3-2 to approve the annexation, but with the zoning designation changed to medium-density residential. Because the council's action differed from both the applicant's request, the planning commission's recommendations, and the staff requested additional time to prepare the revised findings supporting the medium-density zoning designation. During the process, staff identified that there was potentially some confusion regarding the motion that adopted that ordinance, which is why the staff report outlines a possible reconsideration process for the council's consideration tonight. The council has several options, included reconsidering the prior action, affirming the annexation with medium density, continuing deliberation to allow staff additional time to prepare findings, or reconsidering the original high-density residential request. Staff is recommending that the council first consider reconsidering the motion, and that concludes my report, and I know Ross is here to help us with this navigation.
Okay. Council discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Sims.
So to reconsider, would we make a motion to approve the first reading? Is that what we
So
do?
in order to reconsider, somebody who voted for the annexation at medium density would need to make a motion to reconsider it, and then there would be a vote on that motion to reconsider. So that would be the first step in that action.
Did I hear you say somebody who voted yes needs to make that motion to reconsider?
Somebody who voted for, so that would be Councilor Hayes, Councilor Ort, or you. Councilor, you did vote yes for the annexation at medium density residential. Yes.
So we don't go anywhere unless one of those three members makes that motion.
Or you make a different motion. So there's other motions that are on the table
Yep.
or that are potential.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure it was clear.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, before I make the reconsideration motion, I'd make a motion to approve the first reading?
No.
No? Just the reconsideration?
Exactly.
Okay. I move to reconsider the City Council's May 18th, 2026 motion approving ordinance number 26-004 regarding the application of Kevin and Paige Butler for annexation, land use file 10-08/25, with the amendment changing the zoning designation from high density residential to medium density residential.
Seconded.
Okay. There's a motion and a second for reconsideration. Reconsider the motion of ordinance 26-004 with medium density residential. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay. Alyssa, will you help me on this one?
Sure. Counselor Sims,
Yes.
Counselor Carey,
Yes.
Counselor Patty,
Yes.
Counselor Ort,
Yes.
Counselor Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay.
Do you need help? So the motion to reconsider has passed. So now you are reconsidering that original first reading of the annexation at medium density residential. And if that,
Yep, I got it here.
okay.
All right, so then now the question becomes, do you approve the application as originally submitted? Correct?
Ross, I'm going to ask you to just chime in here and make sure we're getting this right. As I understand it, they're reconsidering the original motion that was made, which was to approve the annexation at medium density residential. Is that the correct step?
That is right. Yeah. So this is I apologize. The process here is a little hopeless, and I know it's confusing, but so the vote that you just took to reconsider essentially takes us back to the original motion and second, and so you now are redoing that vote. So the motion in front of you right now is to approve the ordinance with the modification of medium density. So theoretically, if we no longer want that motion, we would vote no on that motion.
But there hasn't been a motion.
So, and then there doesn't need to be a second or a motion or a second, because that's what's on the table essentially. So it's just discussion and vote on that original.
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, what would council like to do now that it's been reconsidered? So now you're considering ordinance number 26-004 as it was presented back on.
Not as it was presented, as it was motioned and seconded. So it's the medium density residential. So really all council needs to do is discuss if there's any more discussion and vote on that original.
Clear as mud. Council have that? Okay, what would council like to do?
So is there no motion?
As I understand it, basically, they reconsidered the original motion. So the original motion that was made and seconded to have it approved at medium density residential is basically where you're at, and you need to vote on that.
What you're voting on right now, if you say it's yes or no, do you want it to be medium density? That's what you're voting on right now.
Okay.
So if there isn't any more discussion, I would recommend calling
Call
the
the
vote.
question.
Okay. There's no discussion. Council Ort's called for the question. So, and we changed the rules on this, so hold on a second.
So yeah, in order to call a question, you actually vote on whether or not to call the
Yes.
question, but I don't know
We
that you
did
really
change that.
need to call the question. I think there is no more discussion, so I would recommend that the mayor,
Wait, I have a question.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
sorry, maybe there is more.
If you don't have a unanimous, if it gets voted down, then we can have another motion, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, there was a call for the question. There was no second to that. Right?
I'm going to retract my call to question
Okay.
and just let it lie.
Okay. So what would council like to do?
So, Mr. Mayor, I think at this point, after the no discussion, we need to
Vote.
take a vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Melissa, will you poll the council, please?
Sure. Counselor Hayes,
No.
Counselor Ort,
No.
Counselor Patty,
No.
What are we voting on?
Whether or not you want it medium density.
Yeah, Julia, I think this is clear as mud. Can we try to get some clarity here on what council's doing?
So you are voting on whether or not to approve the annexation at medium density residential. That is what you're voting on. That's the motion that was originally on the table. If that fails, then you can put any other motion on the table.
Okay.
But right now, you're voting on whether or not to
Sorry.
approve it at medium density.
Okay, so you're on to Council Carey. Go ahead.
Yes.
No.
Counselor Sims, okay. Motion passes 4-1.
No, fails.
Motion fails 4-1.
And with
Sorry.
that, I'd like to just end all of this. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion that we approve the application and enact ordinance 26-004 as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. I want to make sure I'm on the right track here. To approve the application and enact ordinance number 26004.
Yeah, as presented, which was what was the Staff and Planning Commission recommendation on May 18th, which would have the zoning be high-density residential.
Okay. That's pretty clear. So there was a motion and a second, correct?
Who seconded?
Counselor Sims, I think.
Counselor Sims? Okay, thank you.
So if you go ahead and pull the counts on this one, Alyssa, that'd be great.
Sure. Counselor Sims? Counselor Carey?
Yes.
We got too many mics on, guys. I'm not hearing everybody.
Let me
I'm going to turn yours off. Okay. Okay. Counselor Carey? I couldn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Patty?
Yes.
Counselor Ort?
No.
Counselor Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
And because that was not unanimous, this will come back for a second reading at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. That moves us to resolution number 26-016, imposing and categorizing ad valorem taxes for the 26-27 fiscal year. James?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. For the record, James Brand, City's Finance Director. This is a couple annual resolutions that we have. We do have a biennial budget, but we still need to annually assess our taxes. And, well, we'll start with that one. So this resolution 26-016 will impose the ad valorem taxes. We must pass a resolution each year to inform the county of the tax rate we wish to impose up to certain limits. The city's permanent tax rate is $3.328 per thousand assessed value. We also have a levy for the library at 56 cents per thousand. Those are the taxes that we're asking you to impose. Our budget is based on collecting that revenue. That's my staff report.
Okay, that's it. Is there public comment on resolution 26-016? Doesn't look like it. Okay, council discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Council Wirt.
So we know that our recreation levy did not pass. Are we going to come back and propose a new levy for November? Team?
I think that's a separate discussion, but good question. I don't think that's been determined yet, based on the failure of the levy.
I just want to talk about it.
Yeah, and my understanding is that even if we passed a new levy in November, it's only taxed once a year, so it wouldn't affect us until the next tax rolls.
So in 27, 28, correct?
That's my understanding.
How does this affect us does this just affect us for the rest of the fiscal year then?
This will impact the next fiscal year that starts in July. So yes, we do this annually for the following fiscal year.
Okay.
So I guess I have a question now. I asked a while ago at the last meeting if it rolls over, but now this resolution is saying essentially you don't have the money to charge, right? Since it failed, now we don't have that $1.10 portion of it. So now on this resolution, the only thing we're submitting is the library portion of it.
Yes, the 56 cents for the library
correct.
and then the permanent tax rate. Yeah.
And what?
The $3.30.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I guess my question still stands: is how can you operate the pools and the parks without that?
It's proving to be difficult. We're working on a plan right now.
Okay. All right, Council, what would you like to do here? Council Hort.
Oh, I turned my mic off. Sorry. I'd like to motion to approve resolution number 26-016 as presented.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to adopt resolution 26-016, imposing and categorizing ad valorem taxes for the 26-27 fiscal year. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That brings us to resolution number 26-017, electing to receive state revenue sharing funds. James?
So again, this is an annual process. The city of Stayton meets the qualifications to receive state revenue sharing. So the state collects different revenue streams, including liquor taxes, marijuana taxes, cigarette taxes, and gas taxes. Stayton qualifies to receive a portion of that. We do have to pass a resolution to accept those revenues. Outlined in the staff report is the budgeted amounts that we assumed collecting, and so we are asking for you to approve this resolution so we can collect those taxes. They won't exactly be these amounts, but these were the estimates that the League of Cities helped us estimate when we were creating the budget. So our budget does assume those amounts. That's it.
That's it. All right, opportunity for public comment. Doesn't look like we have any. Council discussion and decision.
Mr. Mayor,
Council Hort.
is the state gas tax, is that the 3 cents, or is that our share from this? Is it both?
No,
Our share?
the state tax is different than our local tax. We have a local 3-cent tax at the gas stations within the city.
Where does that, like, how do we receive that?
It's collected, again, through the state, and they send it to us
That's separate
separate.
from
yes.
this?
Yes, it's separate from this. This is the state gas tax
Okay.
collected.
What compromises the state revenue sharing?
That's a good question. It's a generic amount. I don't have a good handle on that. I did look into it about 3 years ago when I started at this job, and I could look into it and let you know what I find out.
Okay. Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I'd like to move to adopt resolution number 26-017 as presented, declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing funds.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 26-017, electing to receive state revenue sharing funds. Further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So this is where we're going to add in, under general business, the noise ordinance discussion from the public comments this evening. So I think I shared with council, but I did actually go out there and assess the situation. It's pretty bad. So imagine that you have an acre and a little bit more of an acre that's basically boxed in with the surrounding community. And the owner of that property continuously runs their motorcycles all over the place with abandon. And they don't really have any respect for their neighborhood or the ordinance, as you heard testimony tonight. So the PD did go out there, did issue him a summons or citation, which was dismissed by the judge. And these folks are really in a desperate position here. So I'd love to figure out a way we can fix this for them. So Julie, do you have the ordinance pulled up?
Yeah, I guess what did you, I mean, I've got the ordinance pulled up, but
I just want to make sure maybe they're familiar with it. So
do you want me to?
And then I have some more questions, but that's.
So are you wanting me to read the ordinance?
Sure, that'd be great.
I just lost it.
The current ordinance that was rejected.
Okay. Just a sec. I had it and then I literally just lost it.
Okay, by the judge. Dismissed.
So the issue is that there's two parts of our noise ordinance, and bear with me, sorry, I had it and I lost it just a second ago. The first part is basically noises that are exempt, are allowed between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. What the police cited on, 140. So there's a section that says, no person shall make, assist in making, continue, or cause to be made any loud, disturbing, or unnecessary noise with which either annoys, disturbs, injures, or endangers the comfort, repose, health, safety, or peace of others at any time in the following manner. And this is what I think PD did was essentially say, well, this is it clearly, it's harming the peace, but what they missed was in the following manner. And in the following manner, there's only two things. The use or operation of sound production or reproduction device, car alarm, car horn on public property, or on a public right-of-way, so as to be plainly audible 50 feet or more from such device, except as allowed by permits. I'm sort of skipping a few words here, but and then B, the operation or to permit the use or operation of any device designed for sound production or reproduction, including but not limited to any radio, television set, musical instrument, and goes on from there. So it's really speaking to sound amplification noises. What I propose, and again, I need to work with PD to make sure that we're not crafting something that becomes problematic in enforcement, but would be adding something to that section that speaks to recreational vehicle noise, to repetitive or continuous operation of motorcycles, ATVs, dirt bikes, mini bikes, go-karts, or similar motorized recreational vehicles on private property in a manner that creates a plainly audible sound beyond the property line for a prolonged period of time. And we need to define a little bit more about what that might look like, but that's the direction I would propose to go. And so we don't want to just flat out get rid of the exemption from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. because that's where you have leaf blowers and lawnmowers and chainsaws, and there's things that people do on their property during the day that make noise, and so you don't want to just have a blanket not allowed at any time type of noise.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Sims, go ahead.
Julie, how fast can we turn something like this around? Because, I mean, there's some people suffering out on Ida Street, and we got to fix this.
So I would propose, I think we could have something to council by July 20th. We might be able to by the next meeting, but I don't want to make promises because I need to coordinate with PD, and we've got the levy stuff that we need to be talking about. But certainly by the July 20th meeting, I think we could, and possibly if I can get that going sooner, by the July 6th meeting, it would, because it's an ordinance, it wouldn't take effect for 30 days unless we declared an emergency. And I'm not sure if this quite warrants an emergency, but we could refer to Ross on that.
I would tell you that folks that live in that neighborhood is an emergency to them.
Yeah.
Because it is just out of control.
Yeah, I've seen the videos. We got to get this at the July 6th meeting, and because you got another 30 days from there, so this has got to be corrected.
Can I ask a question of Michael? Michael, what about the nuisance ordinance in general? Does this not fall under that? Can we not use that to affect change here?
That's where it addresses it, is under the noise. So I don't think any other parts of the nuisance ordinance applies to noise other than the 140 section.
What about the muffler issue that you heard testimony on? Is that a state statute?
I'd have to look into that. I don't know if it applies to private property.
Okay.
My guess is that it wouldn't, just because if you're on your own private property, you can run a.
Okay. Thank you.
What you want.
At this point, I'd be all for banning that type of ATVs and all that stuff in city limits. That's what it comes down to with this. But that's just me. Councilor, go ahead.
Question: they're always on their own property? To
I,
like they
I
never
think
leave.
based on the videos that because Counselor Sims shared a video, I think, and I've spoken with some people, I think they also go on the streets as well. So it's not just on their property. I think there's also around the neighborhood on the dirt bike, I believe.
So is the dirt bike street legal?
I don't know.
Or dirt bike? I don't think dirt bikes are street legal, are they?
If they're just off road, then they wouldn't be. That's correct. But we have had that complaint, but we haven't found them on the road ourselves.
In Counselor Sims, in the video, are they off? Are they in the street? Do you recall? In the video.
No, they're on their individual's property.
Yeah, I saw some of the videos did have them showing the motorcycles on the street. I think there was one of them that had it. There was some you can actually. There was one video in one of the houses. You can actually hear them very clearly outside riding around. It's pretty loud. So, I mean, I think there's no way to escape the noise. It's so loud there. So,
I'm just asking a question. So, is the noise is the noise different than like a motorcycle? It's louder, I would assume.
they're dirt bikes. It was a real loud dirt bike is I think what it is, just from my own experience with them.
And I think that, I mean, I don't know anything about bikes, but I think there's more muffler on a motorcycle than on those types of bikes.
Is there a way, because I absolutely see what the neighbors are saying. We have some neighbors who play their music until probably 9:59.
So that would be actually a violation that you could report.
Quite often. So I get the noise thing. I'm also trying to figure out, is there some kind of balance we can come to? Because they are on their own property. I don't know if there's, because it's incessant noise. I don't know if, is it an all or nothing thing?
So that's up to council. My proposal would be sort of like no more than 30 minutes or no more than something. I think the challenge here is that it's an all day, all weekend, multiple hours. That's my understanding is, so it's the magnitude of it.
Yes.
That's the issue.
I think that is too. I don't know how you police that too. If you have, I don't know what kind of issues you come into. Well, they've been going for
which is why
35 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes.
Which is why I want to coordinate with PD and make sure that whatever we craft is something that they feel that they could actually enforce.
All right, Councilor Ward, I'll share the video with you later, but I have video from the residents where they're sitting in their house on a chair, and it is just it's mind-boggling. They can't hear themselves talk. They can't hear the TV. They can't hear anything, and it's all hours of the day.
I mean, I'm not disregarding that one bit. I'm just trying to figure out if there is a way. I mean, at this point, you're not being neighborly. So you live in a city, and you choose to live around people. Like, you have to, at some point, think about your neighbors. But we can't always force people to do that. Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that I mean, obviously this person is taking advantage of this situation, but I'm trying to just figure out if there's any way we can think about this in a way that doesn't discourage other people from having a good time, not at the expense of their neighbors. Yep. Because what we put in place for this issue that is an extreme is going to affect everyone. The same thing with the electric scooters. I'm sorry, I know you have something to say, but the same thing with the electric scooters. If we put something in place, it's going to affect everyone who's using the electric scooters. So I just want to be mindful of that when we're coming to this decision.
Okay, Councilor
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and to your point, Councilor, I completely agree with that. I fear being heavy-handed in this, and the solution has outcomes that we don't anticipate. So with this one, I heard one solution possibly aired as having like a 30-minute time limit. I just see that as totally unenforceable from just like a knee-jerk level for law enforcement to sit there and time that. So I think that for me personally, just in hearing this issue, it sounds like, it's all hours of the day, maybe exploring some options of diminishing the hours that they could use these bikes. And that way it kind of gets the purpose that Councilor Ort's talking about, allowing people to use these things on their private property, and also accomplishing the neighborly goal of not all hours of the day, being disruptive to the neighborhood.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Coach Sims.
is there any, I guess this question would be for Lieutenant Meeks, is there any state ordinance we can enforce in the meantime until we can get something in place?
I don't believe so. I don't believe there is.
Okay, that would be helpful, but
Could we look into the mufflers, even if it's on private property? Can you just double check for us?
Yeah, I could look into that, sure.
Okay. Because I don't know if that is different inside this. Well, I don't know because it's a state ordinance, but like inside.
If it's enforceable in the state, it would be enforceable in the city. So sure. Generally, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, let's see what we can come up with. It is a situation that is unfortunate. It's not going away, and it's not neighborly in the least bit. And I think that the neighborhood's made attempts to have communication with the individual, and from what I understand, he doesn't adhere to that, and he takes revenge on it. So, thanks, Michael. All right, Julia, so you got your work cut out with you on that one. All right. Communication from city staff, go ahead.
Well, that was one of my communications, so that was dealt with already. Okay. I did want to mention a note from Howard. He wanted me to remind council about the city's float for the 4th of July. We're going to celebrate volunteerism and have it be decorated with lots of candy and have lots of candy for the public. He wanted me to let you know that he'll send out an email closer to the event with details and get a head count of who will be on there. So hopefully we'll have a number of you. It's lots of fun. And then I wanted to turn it back over to Jennifer because you haven't heard from her enough this evening. We were going to originally do a work session this evening, but it's really just kind of we want to share with you a little bit about changes in state law regarding public hearings and housing. And she's really just going to give you an intro update. So take it away, Jennifer.
Sure. I wanted to make council aware that there were recent changes in the state housing law, more changes that take effect on July 1st, and they were going to require updates to land use and development code. These were signed into law April 22nd, so they kind of didn't give us too much time to change from end of April to July. So in general, these changes are intended to streamline the review of certain housing applications. They're going to affect notice requirements and affecting public hearings as well, requiring more administrative review for qualifying housing and developments. We're still questioning what qualifies as a qualifying application under some of the requirements. So over the next few months, I'll be working with Ross and the Planning Commission to identify the necessary codes that need to be changed. And they'll be reviewed by the Planning Commission, and then they'll come before the City Council. So because of these new regulations taking effect July 1st, it'll be a period of transition. I'll have to take each application, land use application, and determine whether it is supposed to go, it can go with our process or the process of the state. I'll be asking Ross for some guidance. And so when I write land use decisions, draft decisions, or my own decisions, I'll be laying out why we did one process versus another. So I just wanted to make you aware of this. So this is it's some bigger changes rather than others. It pretty much is regarding all housing rather than commercial. So it might be pulling apart the code into housing applications and commercial applications. So I just wanted to let you know that that's coming down.
Can I ask a question? Is that doesn't have anything to do with annexation?
It doesn't. Well,
so it's once the land is annexed in, and then you have your
yes, that next level. So definitely any variances. I should know clear when there is clear and objective code. If there's any questions or variances when the applicant is asking for some waiver, variance, that is going to come before the planning commission and go through the regular process that we have.
But if there isn't, then what happens?
What?
It would be a staff level decision. And generally what that, I mean, we'll have to get our hands around it a little bit more, but it would basically still require public notice, still allow people to provide comments, but they would be providing comments to staff, and there wouldn't be a public hearing. And that's for, I mean, the types of things would probably be like partitions, like duplexes, because
like two duplexes, yes, or a triplex, something like that.
We're not talking about like whole developments.
We're trying to get input from Ross. So I'll keep you updated. I'll keep you informed. Yes.
You don't have any examples right now of what that looks like?
I don't. Maybe Ross could have some input. I mean, I know the basic land development, like I mentioned, if you had, I think on East Santiam, there was a bunch of, there were like 8 duplex townhouses. Yeah. Those kinds of things would not go to public hearing. It would be staff.
Is that something that we're able to call up if we, like, you guys make the final decision based on what?
I know what you're saying. So if staff had a decision and then it was called up, that we're trying to still figure that out.
Okay, but then what? These don't have to be answered now, but these are the things I'm thinking about that maybe can be addressed. But are you using state criteria to make these decisions administratively, or are you using our code?
We are using our code to make those decisions. Yes.
Okay.
So the idea is they're clear and objective. Your lot size is 7,000 square feet or it's not. You've got 10 feet of setback or you don't. You've got connection to water or you don't. So that's the idea of clear and objective. And again, we'll have to work with Ross.
So anything that fits inside the box that you can check.
Right.
That you can just check it off. Anything that is, like you said, that needs more discernment will go to the
planning and yes.
Okay. I wanted to be clear on that it wasn't like, okay, we just had a annexation and now we're going to bring 70 homes in and then it's just going to be a box checked.
Yes, I understand you. Okay. We're trying to get clarity.
Those big subdivisions will.
At this point, I don't know. I mean, we need to coordinate with Ross and see if our code is clear and objective versus not clear and objective, and basically come back to council and the planning commission with what we think will comply with the state law. So I don't want to say definitively yes or no.
Okay.
I can give you a concrete example in subdivisions. You're required to have a certain percentage open space, but will say, or by planning commission discretion. So if they're going to come in and say, well, I want to ask the planning, I want less open space than it says, then obviously that will go to planning commission. So only if they meet exactly what we write down.
Okay. I'm thinking of like I feel like one of the site plans that we saw for the property off of Fern Ridge by Foothills, they wanted to make the streets smaller and only like one way, or not one way, but like you could kind of like with Sylvan Springs where you can only park on one side of the road.
Exactly. Those would come before the planning commission.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jennifer? It sounds like James had something he wanted to add, but before we turn it, okay. James.
Yeah, I just had a correction. I said that the local gas taxes were collected by the state. That's not how it happens. Each company pays us monthly what their taxes are that they collected, the 3 cents.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Okay. It's an opportunity for communication from myself and council. I'll start with council.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Sims.
I wanted to circle back around to this Deer Lane issue with the scooters because we really didn't talk about that too much. Is that something we can increase some police patrols over in that area to see if we can maybe have a talking to with some of the kids that are doing that, or try to prevent that, because it sounds like there's an issue with it.
I don't know when the latest was. I know we made contact with a couple juveniles about a week and a half ago. I don't know if it's been since then, but we have made contact and worked on it. So I don't know how recent the complaints were, but it sounds like they were actually writing in the basin there off a Kindle at one point too. So
Over on Kindle, yeah. I mean, sounds like it's pretty ongoing. So I just see if we can maybe quell that a little bit with some patrols.
Okay. And I'll also add that the electric scooters and skateboards and all those things, it's sort of a newer thing that cities are starting to struggle with. I believe Sublimity just recently passed something that prohibited them, the use of them in their parks. I'll have to research that a little bit more and maybe see what other cities are doing to address that. So, because it is beginning to be more prevalent as kids are getting them.
Yeah, we may have to look at an ordinance for electric bikes too. I've seen some pretty young kids riding around at 30 miles an hour on a bike. I mean, it's like a scooter. You can have a pretty catastrophic accident with those.
Is there a state law that you have to have helmets when you're riding an electric scooter at a certain age?
yes, they recently changed it in the last legislative session. The limits on what size different ages could ride, and it gets fairly involved. I don't have it memorized yet, but yeah, definitely under 16, you have to be wearing a helmet on any of them. So on scooters or bicycles or electric scooters or electric bicycles.
Okay.
But yeah, 16 is the cutoff there for that.
Thank you. Can I ask you another question? Do you know, is the thought process behind not prohibiting them in the parks, is that because of the speed that they go, or like?
I believe so, but I'm not 100. I think there was more just like sort of close calls with pedestrians and things like that, but I'm not 100% positive.
Depends on what class they are. Class 2 electric bikes don't require propulsion by the individual. They just push the button and it goes. The 1 and 3 require you to assist by pedaling.
Okay.
So it could be a lengthy discussion if council decides to go down that path.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Julie, I have a couple of questions. With what frequency has the Arts Commission been meeting?
Monthly, I believe. I think that there's been a few. Jennifer, do you want to speak to that? I think there's been 1 or 2 recently that was canceled due to lack of a quorum, but can you speak to that?
Yes. I would say every other month in the last 4 months.
Have been canceled or have been in
They were canceled. One didn't have quorum because we don't have a full 5 people. So if a couple people don't come, it's not
Okay.
quorum.
Is there a situation where those meetings determine when the murals will go done? I guess what I am telling you is I got some feedback that the murals can't get done because the meetings aren't frequent enough, and they're waiting on the grant portion of it or something. I hope that's not.
No, no, that's not the case. The community improvement grant, Julie Boxler obtained was awarded the grant, and she with possibly RDS has to work on getting the murals commissioned and call to artists, and they need to do that. And then once they pick something, then it goes before the Arts Commission.
Was the award extended until next year?
We did talk to James, and because we have the biennial budget, we're able to stretch it out and let her get those murals.
Okay. So what if another award recipient is close to that deadline? Will they get the same opportunity? This is a problem.
If they ask. I think it would be different if we were coming up towards the end of the budget. So if it was next year, then we wouldn't be able to. We probably would not extend it.
Okay. I was also asked, remember we talked about, or there was a request during, or maybe just an idea floated about the banner that used to be over Ace Hardware on First Street. Have we got any room on that? What's the latest with that? Because I think we're missing out on an opportunity to promote downtown and promote the events here without having that banner up there.
So council discussed that, and we provided direction to formerly RDS that we were supportive of that concept and that they were going to be charged with applying for, I think they were discussing, a T-Mobile grant. And my understanding was the discussion was that there was support for that, but it would be them applying for that.
I think, was there a mention of $44,000 or something?
That sounds about right.
I don't understand how that could be what it requires for us today to put that banner up.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I don't understand with that dollar amount today to simply string a banner across the road.
I'll have to look at the data again. I think it had to do with engineering guy wires and those types of things. It was an estimate that was developed at the time that we brought that to council several months ago.
Okay, I just think we're missing an opportunity there for economic development and self-promotion. So I'd like us to try to keep a focus on that. I do have one more thing, unless council has anything else.
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Wanted to remind everyone to come down to the community center parking lot for on the 19th for the pool fundraiser. You get here early enough. There's pizza and some brownies. We had some brownies. Got a taste test of them. They were brought here before. So come down, support the pool. Any amount will help. And will lessen the burden that we have to try to keep that open.
Okay.
Friday, 6 p.m.
And I believe it's actually going to be in the community center. It might spill into the parking lot, but I think because of the weather, the idea is to have it inside.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have a statement to read as the mayor. So tonight, I want to reflect on public service. In 2003, I moved to my wife's hometown of Stayton. In walking around town, I appreciated the character, charm, and sense of community. I recognized the history of the city while seeing its potential for balanced progress. There was an expose on the newly acquired riverfront park in the Stayton Mail, which referenced the Parks Board. I thought that would be cool to participate in. Shortly thereafter, I was appointed to the Parks Board by Mayor Abood. That was the start of my volunteer service in Stayton. While on the Parks Board, I attended a city council meeting and discovered dysfunction at its finest. That didn't appeal to me, but piqued my curiosity for the future. I chose to remain on the Parks Board for the next 5 years. In 2010, I was elected to serve my first term on City Council. Over the last 15 years, with the exception of 2 medical absences, I've participated in council in some capacity or another. With the upcoming election, many people have asked me if I'm going to seek another term. I've had to think about that question and ultimately ask myself if I can contribute at the same level I have for the last 15 years. I've grappled with serving again if it doesn't result in tangible results to our crumbling infrastructure. Can I accept that? I don't do well with promising and not delivering. Today, Stayton is facing some of its largest challenges in its history. The Detroit Lake drawdown, our failing wastewater treatment plant, the failure of the parks and pool levees, our crumbling infrastructure, and the extreme pressure of population growth with multiple annexations. Why would anyone want to voluntarily lead in the face of these challenges? The recent amendments to the city charter passed by the voters now make the mayor a member of the council with voting rights, something I've been advocated for many years. The new model should bring more leadership to the mayor's position in guiding the governing body. I could easily conclude my service now, satisfied with that accomplishment solely. However, is that something I can truly do? I'm not good at letting go, as council can attest to. The prudent thing for me to do is to announce that I am not done contributing to Stayton. I'm not afraid of the daunting challenges ahead of us. I am indeed ready to ask the voters for one more chance to serve as mayor. So tonight, my SEL 101 spilled out, and I'll hand it to Alyssa. I submit my candidacy for Mayor of Stayton for another term. Thank you. And with that, adjourn the meeting.